Hello, you beautiful soul. Welcome to the Mystic Visionary Podcast. This is your host, Zia, and I'm here to pick a word for the day. If you don't know what that's about, go back to episode 1 or check the link in the show notes. I'm going to open my box and pick a word out of my little magic box from Ireland. I'm going to close my eyes and feel around in there and get the right word for today, for this week. What do we need to learn about? Oh, one just popped out. That must be the one. Peace. That's a good one. Peace. All right. Our word for the week is peace. I'm going to go meditate on that and I will be back. Okay, I'm back from meditation. First thing I have to say is that I've had this word before. Episode number 10 was peace. And I knew that this would be duplicates because I've asked a group of people to give me words that were important to them. So I knew there would be duplicates. So another person has chosen peace and I picked it. And of course, this meditation and this podcast is going to be different from the other. But if you want to listen to the other one, it's episode 10. Well, this time, the idea of peace, what came to me was peace begins with forgiveness. And I know that when we all think of peace, we think of world peace and all that. But when I think of peace, I think of internal or inner peace. Because I think that's where it really needs to begin. And when I in the meditation, I really just got this whole idea of peace begins with forgiveness. And right now, at this time in our world, in our country, we are so divided. This is right after the election in 2024. So there's a lot of divisiveness, a lot of people that are really upset about the results of the election. A lot of people are happy about it. Whatever it is, people are invested in whatever point of view they have. I also know that for myself and a lot of other people, we have this idea that of this injustice, all the injustices in the world, the things that are happening that are out of our control, whether it's the wars, whether it's big corporations making tons of money at the cost of the regular people, the insecticides and the food additives and the toxic chemicals and the injustices in every aspect of the world and every aspect of our lives. And what I realized in my meditation was that outward focus of looking for peace in this world that feels so crazy, that feels so disruption. And that is part of the shift into the new paradigm. It's what this is all about. The old is collapsing and the new is emerging. Well, the old is collapsing, and when it's like a train wreck, and when you see a train wreck or a car accident, you can't keep your eyes off of it. You want to look. And I think that that's what's happening. We're looking at the collapsing systems. I just recently moved to Oregon, and I've been trying to find a doctor, primary care doctor, and I've been having a terrible time finding it. I had to end up going to an urgent care clinic to just get my regular blood work done. And the doctor I spoke to there told me that, there's a health care emergency in this area because of the healthcare system is so out of whack. And I see that everywhere. That's just one thing. It's like so many things. Well, when I'm trying to find health care and I'm like, I need to have a doctor. I need to have my blood work done. I need this, need that. It's like my inner peace is being disrupted by this collapsing medical system that is not serving the people, but has been serving the insurance companies, the pharmaceutical companies. It's a model that no longer functions. That's just completely dysfunctional. Well, I can look at that and be all upset, or I can forgive that. And one of the biggest things that came to me during this meditation was recognizing that we created that and taking responsibility in a way for that. It's like understanding that whatever you see in your reality is a reflection of your inner self or your inner thinking. That's what collective consciousness is. So the collective consciousness of all of us have created whatever this is that we're seeing on the external. So being angry at what we see in the external is not going to bring us peace. Being angry at the systems that are broken and collapsing and all that, that is just a reflection of where we have been as a humanity and as a culture and as a country. It's collapsing. Things are falling apart because they're dysfunctional, because they've been serving the wrong goals. And it has to crumble in order for us to reclaim for the people. I mean, for each of us, for the right, not the right, but the holistic way of serving humanity in a way that doesn't have greed as the pinnacle. I'm not going any more down that road. What I'm talking about is finding peace and recognizing that this outside, all this stuff that's collapsing and not working is a reflection of our collective consciousness that needs to shift. And in order for us to shift our collective consciousness, I believe that's where it needs to begin, with forgiveness. And the forgiveness of others, the forgiveness of big corps and the insurance companies and the medical system that's messed up, and all of the systems, the governmental systems, all the political systems, everything that's contributing to our unhappiness. We need to forgive that. We need to forgive people who think differently than us. We need to forgive ourselves for being so wrapped up in this external focus and wanting to be right. I think that's the whole key to this, the new paradigm and the 5 guiding principles that it was given to me. It's like we have to get out of competition and into cooperation. We need to build community. We need to be concerned about others. We need to forgive others and forgive ourselves. In order to really have inner peace, there has to be this huge letting go and this huge amount of forgiveness. Forgiving those people who we don't agree with, forgiving those people who have used greed as their motivator, forgiving the corporations, forgiving the institutions, forgiving all those things, because the only way we gain our power back is by bringing our attention inward. And that all of this is about finding inner peace within us. I have to look back a few years ago when I first got together with my partner Larry, and I think it's been 5 or 6 years now we've been together. And at that time, it was right after the Kavanaugh Supreme Court hearings, and there was the woman who testified about, his behavior in college and the things he did to her. And it triggered me really strongly. I was like, I had been holding these things from my own abuse stories from decades, where I had the sense of not being safe. And when this woman testified, she testified that she had 2 front doors. She had an exterior door and then an interior door that she had to lock because she didn't feel safe, and it all stemmed from this encounter she had in college with him. And as I was listening to this, it was like I felt that in my body, and I had realized that I had just made a outdoor entrance with a doorbell, and then I had another door that was an entrance to my house. And I had the handyman come and put up motion detector lights on every corner of my house so that I could, the lights would come on anytime somebody moved outside my house. All this was this sense of fear that I had and this need for a sense of safety and security. And I saw it clearly. I saw it clearly that this was something I was holding on to from my childhood, from my sense of insecurity as a kid, my fears, and living with my father, who was just kind of a rageaholic guy, and my first marriage where I was married to an abusive man, and all these unexpected things were happening in my life that made me feel like I had no control. So I tried to control everything I could in my external environment to make me feel safe, to give me peace. But yet I didn't have peace because I had to sleep in bed with facing the door so that I could watch if somebody were coming in the door or the window. I had a bat by my bed or a big flashlight. I had, all these systems set up to make myself feel safe so I could be at peace, which I totally never was because I had this fear inside of me. And I remember when Larry and I got together, and he recognized this in me and what this fear was, and we kind of talked about it. And one day he was listening intently to me, which he is an amazing listener, which is one of the things I love about him. And he took my hand in his, and he said, "Peace and calm is in my palm, and I give it to you," with all the sincerity that you could ever imagine anyone could give. And I felt it fully. And it's like, peace and calm is in my palm, and I give it to you. And I felt that sense of understanding that peace and calm comes from inside me. And he allowed me to experience his, and he gave me that sense of peace and calm. But I knew at that moment that this was on me, to have this within me. And I realized that he provided space for me to recognize that the inner peace that I needed was outside of all these things that I did, the double locking doors, the motion detector lights, the sleeping where I could see the windows, and my, police issue flashlight by my bed that I could use to knock somebody on the head. These were all exterior driven ways of keeping me safe, when inside is where I needed to feel safe. Inside is where I needed to experience peace and understand that came from within. And so today when I was meditating, that sort of like flooded through my brain, that memory, and recognizing how much I've changed since he told me that, and how much I've changed since I recognized that I have the power to create peace in my life. And what happened at that time was I learned that all those things I was afraid of were perpetrated against me by people that are no longer in my life. And I'm free from them, and I need to forgive them. And in forgiveness, it's letting go. And I've let go of them. I've understood that all the people that hurt me also loved me, but they were so wounded that they did things to me that somehow was out of their control or their power. And I had to forgive them. And in this forgiveness, I found peace. And that is the biggest thing that I'd like to talk about as far as peace today, and what that really means to forgive and to go inward and recognize that no one outside of you has the ability to control your inner peace unless you allow them. Whoever's the president, whoever gets elected, or whoever's in the Congress or the Senate, or who's put into positions of power, they don't have control over you, your emotional state. They don't have control over your inner peace. The only person who has control over that is you. And I think ultimately, forgiving all and everything that you can possibly think of and let go of that is going to bring you more peace than anything you've ever experienced. And as I was meditating, as I was going through these scenarios, kind of were coming up into my mind, sort of like a movie trailer. The next one that flowed in was forgiving myself. Forgiving myself for all the time that I have spent in fear or in judgment, in condemnation, in, judgment of what I've judged as wrong, or people I thought were wrong, or situations, or whatever. It's that whole idea of like, this is wrong, somebody should fix it, or that person is wrong and they shouldn't have power, or these people are doing this and they shouldn't do this, isn't right. And it's like, wait a minute, who am I to make that decision? Who am I to hold that energy out there into something that I have absolutely no control over? And look inside and recognize that I can forgive myself for going down these paths that take away my peace. If I choose to be peaceful, then the more I choose to be peaceful, the more that's reflected out into the world around me. And the more I am peaceful, the more peace becomes something that's part of my world. And if all of us were to embrace inner peace, forgive ourselves, forgive others, and move from this place of this inner peace and calm, then it's going to radiate into the collective, and pretty soon the collective consciousness is going to be that of peace instead of hate and fear and war. And it's an inside job that eventually becomes a collective consciousness. That's what this whole new paradigm is about. It's like the shift to the new earth. When enough people start thinking a new thought, then the old is going to drop away and the new is going to become a reality. I've talked about that before in this reality creation and multidimensional things. We are vibrating at different levels. And when you're in fear, you're vibrating very low. When you're in blame, when you're in fear, when you're in feelings of insecurity and panic, whatever you're feeling, anxiety, depression, you're vibrating at a very low frequency, and there's not a lot of light in your being. The higher you raise your vibration, the more you forgive, the more you let go, the more you connect with that ability to find peace within yourself, the higher your frequency and vibration becomes. And then that radiates out. And then when enough people are radiating that outward, then it's like a tipping point, and then it just clicks and it shifts. And pretty soon that becomes our reality. That becomes the collective consciousness, and we all get to experience a whole new world. So when I think of peace and that it begins with forgiveness, that's what I'm talking about. We all need to find whatever it is within ourselves that we need to forgive and let go of in order to have inner peace. And that is huge, 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 huge. It can change our world. It will change our world. And it was a great reminder for me today. I talked about that piece in that other episode. I touched on some of these things, but this one hit me more on a deeper personal level of taking responsibility for my own inner peace and not feeling like a victim. And that's what that whole Kavanaugh thing was about. Like, I was completely in my victim consciousness, being afraid that I was going to be victimized again, and I was doing everything in my power to protect myself from victimization. When the likelihood of my being victimized is like, zero, basically, or very, 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 very minute. But I was living like there was a threat outside my house every day. And that was not allowing me to be peaceful. That was not allowing me to have serenity. That was not allowing me to live my life in a way that I really wanted to live. And now I'm able to do that. And I'm not saying not to take safety precautions. I'm hoping you understand that goes without saying. But to go to these extremes and have your whole world be focused on something outside yourself is taking away your peace. Well, the only way that's happening is you're allowing that to happen. It's a story you're telling. It's something you're being told that you're believing. It's something that's being promoted. Fear is just being promoted everywhere. You can see it everywhere. I have to say one thing. I don't know if anybody's had this experience, but have you ever had your timing belt go out in your car? Well, if you have, you know that when your timing belt goes out, your car just stops running and you can't do anything until your timing belt has been replaced. Now, I think that's happened to me twice in my lifetime. I've been driving since I was 15, so it's a lot of years. But right around the corner from our house, there's a mechanic, and he has a big sign on his fence of his auto mechanic shop. Have you checked your timing belt recently? How many miles are on your timing belt? So you drive by that and you suddenly go, oh my God, I wonder if my timing belt's going to go out. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Well, it's nice that he wants to remind people they need to check it. But the thing about timing belts is, they always just go out when you least expect it. And you can have them checked and a week later they could go out. So what he's really promoting is fear. And he's promoting fear so that he can get business. And that's just a small example of what our culture does in every direction that you look. Every news show you watch, every advertisement, like the guy on TV with the advertisement with the car insurance of people's car crashes, and all these things, your house burning down, all the things that you worry about happening, is just promoting fear and making you feel unsafe. Well, if you really want to have inner peace, it's like recognizing that those things are only being shown and promoted because someone is profiting from that. And now I don't want to go back to that blame game again either. I forgive those people. I forgive myself. I forgive all of that because I want to choose my own inner peace. I don't want it to be manipulated away from me. So we have to all just sort of like stand up and take our power back and understand that that sense of peace that we all are seeking is something we have absolute and total control over. And that's what we want in the new paradigm. That's how we create the new paradigm, by understanding that that inner peace comes from us letting go and forgiving all these outside sources, reconnecting with that intrinsic peace that exists within us and holding it and cherishing it. Yeah, peace. It's a wonderful thing, and I think it should be something we all spend time collectively creating within ourselves and beginning to shift our consciousness so that the collective consciousness goes to that tipping point where it becomes a reality for us, where we can look at those things and just kind of laugh, or that those things disappear completely, and that advertisers know that fear doesn't work, and that if people want to create a product or have a service, they do it based on a good service and something that serves people and humanity. That's where we need to go. Anyway, I wish for each of you to go inside and find that place of inner peace and start forgiving all the things in your life that you feel that's taking that away from you, because nobody can take that away from you. It comes from the inside. All right, well, that's about peace for this week. Thank you again to whoever wrote it, the other person who decided peace was one of their top 10 words. I acknowledge you and thank you. And I'll be back next week with a new word. Have a great week. If you want to learn more about the 5 guiding principles of the new paradigm, you can listen to my audiobook, which is the Pocket Guide to the New Paradigm, which is a free audiobook on YouTube. I'll link it below. And the other thing that I have available is the Heart Archetype Quiz. It's a short quiz that answers the question, am I listening to the call in my heart? And you take the quiz and you'll discover what might be blocking you from living the call of your heart. And I think that's what we're all being called to do right now, is to look inside, connect with our heart, and follow its guide. If you want to take that quiz, there's a link right below. If you have any questions or comments, feel free. You can also leave those below.